Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The University of New Orleans Privateers are on their way to play in Dayton against Mount St. Mary's in the opening round of the NCAA basketball tournament. First time in the tournament in 21 years, and what a wonderful story this is, and hopefully it will prolong itself for a couple of days. Lenny, first of all, it's a great story. It's a great accomplishment for Mark Schlesinger's team. The second part is they drew a team that they have a chance to beat.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could have the debate of whether UNO belonged in the first four or they should have gotten out of that and been, one of the regular 16 seeds or higher, whatever. I think there's not a lot of margin for error in trying to dissect who the bottom teams are in the bracket. And honestly, we spend a lot of time focusing on who the number one seed should be or the number two seed should be, but that's part of the committee's job, is to decide about those teams as well. And look, I look at it this way. While you could say, it's disappointing that they end up in the first four and having to play, they're the only game in town Tuesday at 5:30. And that's going to be a 2-hour infomercial for the job that Mark Schlesinger and everyone at UNO has done to bring this program back to credibility, respectability, winning a Southland Conference regular season and tournament championship, all the things that have gone on there at UNO. And to be able to overcome that and reach this point, it's a terrific story. Mark Schlesinger got a spot on SportsCenter yesterday. It's a lot of national attention for this program that hasn't come its way in a long, long time.
You and I both agree they're better off having drawn the play-in game, as it were. Definitely a benefit to their program. No question about that on every front. And congratulations to UNO as a result of that tremendous accomplishment. And by the way, on the NAIA level, we got quite a few teams that are playing in the postseason, and as usual, and it's great to see that.
Yeah, Loyola's men and women for the first time ever, both in the tournament. Of course, Dillard's men are outstanding. And you look around the state, look, LSU Alexandria, a real threat to possibly win the national championship.
Yes.
And LSU Shreveport as well. All, NAIA basketball in here. We've, of course, focused, I guess, primarily for a long time on Xavier, Dillard, and Suno, but obviously Loyola at that level and other places around the state, outstanding programs with a chance to go on their big stage and maybe make a splash.
No doubt. Where the Pelicans are concerned, overtime win against the Hornets, and now they're home against Portland Tuesday. Anthony Davis went off. That's the good news. The bad news is DeMarcus Cousins sat on the bench the whole time the game was in the balance and didn't play at all. And again, they've really played better without him on the floor since he's gotten here, by and large. Now, that may be a statement of familiarity. It may be a statement of compatibility. I don't know what it is, but so far, it doesn't feel real good the way this thing is working out.
No, it doesn't. Look, at the end of the day, he's a valuable asset. He's a valuable asset that you probably got for less than what the value should have been. And you can do one of two things with it there. You can either choose to reshape your team in the offseason around your strengths, or you take that asset and you move it on somewhere else, which is not out of the question, I would think, either. But still, this is still very fresh in terms of the trade. We could talk about the Pelicans trying to get to the 8th spot. I think that's just, that's an absolute pipe dream at this point. It's less than a 1% chance as you start calculating things. And Portland is one of those teams in the hunt for the 8th spot. And look, you still got to play Denver 3 times. So it's not out of the question, but it's really going to take nothing short of a miracle at this point.
College baseball, not a good weekend for Tulane at all. Not a good season for Tulane at all. Not a good weekend for UNO at all. A very good weekend for LSU. LSU's starting pitching on weekends has a chance to be one of the top 2 or 3 in the country. Now, Alex Lang threw in a clunker against TCU, who's a great team, but he came back and pitched 1-hit baseball for 8 innings, or 2-hit baseball. And then Jared Poche, who's been better in the country so far, and Walker has emerged as a legitimate SEC weekend starter and a very good one. So it's all about pitching in college baseball. It's all about pitching at any level, and with that, LSU's midweek pitching is not good enough. We've seen that so far. Can it improve? We'll see. But their weekend starters, as good as any.
No doubt. And look, that's at the end of the day what's going to get you where you need to get. You give yourself a chance to win an SEC championship. If you do that, you win an SEC title, you're going to be a top 8 national seed, which means the road to Omaha would go through Baton Rouge. And you certainly got to be excited. Poche, that's a remarkable story. I mean, this is a guy who didn't even have to come back, got offered some nice money by the Padres last year, and could have gone, but came back for one more shot, and he's been nothing short of sensational. I don't think anybody could have predicted that. Obviously, with Lang, preseason All-American, you could have certainly, expected the quality performances that he's put out there, but Poche has been extraordinary.
The Saints, of course, the many moves that took place are still the subject of a lot of talk, and will continue to be because they might not be finished yet. There's still something out there for them, perhaps, before the draft. But, of course, most of it centers on Brandon Cooks, and most of it nationally is that the Patriots fleeced the Saints. I'm of the opinion that you have to wait and see to a large degree, kind of like the Jimmy Graham deal. In retrospect, even though Stephon Anthony is now just kind of floating in the wind, it wasn't a bad deal because Max Unger is a really good football player, and he's anchoring that offensive line, which has continued to be a really good offense as a result, while Jimmy Graham's productivity has dropped dramatically. It could be the same thing with Brandon Cooks. Maybe not, but I can't see Cooks possibly compiling the numbers in New England that he did in New Orleans. Agreed?
And even if he does, that doesn't matter because what will happen is someone else will fill Brandon Cook's spot in New Orleans. And that's the thing we've learned over the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era is it doesn't matter who the skill guys are surrounding number 9. This is a system that's going to work with the skill guys you put around him, and they're going to call the right plays and put people in the right places and create the matchups that they want, whoever it is. I like the Ted Ginn signing. I mean, of all the things that have happened, that's really kind of flown under radar. But granted, Ginn's an older guy, but he gives you...
He's like a 2-year rental.
Which is fine because he still gives you that deep threat that Cooks was. Maybe not the speed burner that Cooks is.
I don't know about that.
But he's every, pretty close. Yeah. But he stabilizes your return game, which has been invisible for how many years now, really since Darren Sproles left.
Yeah, to me, that was the wild card in this, is his ability to return and the fact that they got him at a good price. At 3 years, $11 million, that's a bargain basically for a guy that can still play, who, by the way, has gotten better over the last couple of years in terms of productivity in an offense in Carolina where they wanted to run the ball. The Saints, they don't want to run the ball by and large. They want to throw the ball. And again, the return game to me is a big caveat. So to me, no problem at all with that. Ginn replacing Cooks, I think, will fit in fine with this offense. Everybody knows Michael Thomas is going to be their guy moving forward, and Willie Snead's been tendered. So then it becomes Kobe Fleener's responsibility, and can they find that X factor out of the backfield? Now that you have that 32nd pick, if Christian McCaffrey's there, are you kidding me? Off the charts. You talk about a perfect fit. Stay tuned. Ask Rick Gailey about that. He's never been sold out in his life about something, but stay tuned. So very interesting to say the least. As for the other moves, they got a starting guard who's a road grader, a mauler. Their offensive line probably looks better than it's looked since the Super Bowl years right now, with Pete at one guard and with Warford at the other, with a healthy Armstead at tackle, with Streif at the other, who's the guy that obviously short term, and then, of course, Unger at center. That's a pretty good offensive line.
It is a pretty good offensive line. Yeah, of course, they've got to come together. And, let's see. Obviously, Armstead's healthy. You want to see him get back healthy this year. Can Streif repeat what he did last year, which arguably in his 11th year in the NFL might have been his best season in the league? Can he repeat that? He's not getting any younger. So, look, it's certainly encouraging what you've seen thus far. They're far from done. I like going and getting the picks. While like you said, the Patriots, the reports, they fleeced the Saints. It's still the other side of it. It's almost like a Patriots-like move. You're going and getting picks. The more bullets you have in the gun on draft night, the better chances you have, which is against everything that the Saints have done up until now.
Wouldn't it be interesting if they turned around and traded that 32nd pick for Butler?
Nothing would surprise me, but look, nothing would surprise me, but hey, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
No, everything's still up there, and it's in play. Stay tuned. High school basketball, it was a really good weekend for New Orleans teams in Lake Charles. 4 out of 5 that were in the finals, 4 out of 6 realistically because you had a loser in Bonneville, but 4 championships coming back to New Orleans out of the 12. Of course, it's too many championships. It's too many games. We all know that, but I was there, and there were some really good games. And to see Crescent City win a state championship for the first time in school history was special, a tremendous accomplishment. Congratulations to Sean Dumas and his team that doesn't start a senior. They're all back next year. De La Salle beating U High, knocking off the 3-time defending state champions to win Division II. What an accomplishment. And, oh, by the way, they got a bunch of players coming back, too. And then, of course, to watch Landry Walker, having had injuries from football, not having Keaton Thompson, go in as a 22nd seed and win the state championship in 5A, and beating Bonneville, looking for its first state championship ever, who had a great year as well. Tremendous accomplishment there. Country Day, we did the broadcasts on WGSO 990 AM. They were the team to beat from the get-go. They were that good. Mike McGuire is an elite coach, if not the best in the state. And then Brother Martin, what a great showing against Scotlandville. I mean, they had a shot to win the game. Come up a point short against the best team probably in the state, and how disappointing that was, but what a great year.
Yeah, I was going to say, certainly congratulations to the 4 champions, but look, a great performance by Brother Martin as well. We saw Scotlandville a couple of times down in New Orleans this year. Of course, we had them in the championship game of the All-State Sugar Bowl National Prep Classic when they made that huge comeback in that game to win. They were probably the best team in the state, but obviously there was a lot of good basketball played in the New Orleans area this year, and our hats off to all of those state champions.
Indeed, and now we move forward to baseball and softball, and it's going to be even more of a mess because that's outdoors, and if it rains, good luck with that.
Maybe playing till June if it rains.
Could be. Yeah, it could be.
But,
July.
Yeah, who knows? We'll find a way to get them in somehow. By the way, coverage returns next week on the First NBC Bank Prep Showcase, as we got district play actually starting this week on the North Shore, but next week Catholic League play gets underway. We'll have the Catholic League opener, a really good one between John Curtis and Brother Martin, a week from Tuesday, live here at SportsNOLA, and of course you can watch the tape-delayed broadcast on WHNO TV 20. That is next week.
If not the 2 best teams in that league, certainly 2 of the top 4 or 5 teams, unquestionably, both really good and contenders. Lenny, as always, thanks. Have a great week.
You too.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. He's Lenny. I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.